All right. So, okay, cool. We're there. All right. So I was joking to begin with, like I was telling people about this, like, wow, you want one more thing to go do with remote learning, but I think it's gonna be great. So thank you everybody for this. So let me actually do my stuff here. So I just kind of like kind of scratched this together on the digital interactive notebook, like what the whole idea about this is going to go be, and had this little bit of a schedule on like at least like the different points that we can end up hitting in here. So we'll just kind of be quick. So overall vision, I'm pretty sure everyone's already like aware of it. But the idea is that we will create a digital notebook like library for all the AP teachers. And it's can be used for remote learning. It can be used for actual classroom instruction. And it's that all these notebooks would be ready for every section for each unit before we even get to it. And then eventually all these units would be hosted on the AP Google Drive folder. Every single teacher could just download this as a one-stop shop and have it. And then they can end up creating their copies, editing it, fitting it the way that they want to go do. But it just kind of gives a resource for people to go do, because we have lots of individuals that aren't as tech savvy as some of us. And I think it's just a benefit if we can go ahead and utilize our skills in order to make sure that they can benefit from that. So that's kind of like the idea, and that we could continue to fine tune like the design of it, whether we want to like throw labs or change up how the master summary, like, the master sheets or master slides, I can't remember the name of it, ends up getting done. So do you have any questions, or is everyone like on board with this? Because this is at least what I was thinking once I posted off to the AP Facebook group.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So the first thing that we kind of like have to kind of discuss about is the method. So
yeah, I saw this in your email and I was like, oh shit, what's the Marcy method? I know what that means.
So it was actually Brielle and I were like talking about it, and
because hers is better. I just like bashed my way through her master slides and then kept, I was like, shit.
So I'm going to be honest, like I think there's kind of merit to both of them, and I actually think it should be like somewhere in between. So at least what I was seeing with the Marcy method was a one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every single unit had its own individual notebook and you're done with it, versus the Brielle method is like you kind of make little modules that's like similar, like things that you probably would teach together as maybe like to give a summative assessment with, like for like a mini quiz or something like that. You would use that kind of idea.
So I'll say that I did water by itself. The next part of that is actually like I put all the macromolecules together.
Mm-hmm.
So there are definitely things that I will be grouping. This one I happen to not, but I would go out of my mind if I did a one-to-one for each of these.
Yeah, and I got you. And like that's kind of like my thought about it as well, because like looking at it, like it'd be awesome if we could do it, but
yeah,
I mean,
I don't even know that it makes sense, because so much of it is integrated, especially with, you know, like the organic chemistry piece. Like it's almost impossible to like pull out some of those key concepts.
But and also the other thing I was looking at is like 1.3 is literally just hydrolysis and dehydration synthesis. Do we really need a notebook just for that? Like,
correct. So so I have a lot of that stuff merged. This one I just happened to do water. I almost like I wanted to separate inorganic chemistry from organic chemistry. I mean, I know we're not straight teaching organic chemistry or anything, but like, yeah. So I am definitely leaning towards the, you know, like with like together.
Yeah. So, and I think that might be the best method. That way it kind of like, it seems like it might be a lot of work because you're taking multiple stuff, but again, like the fingers are in so many honey pots, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think it's less work actually.
So yeah, it'd probably be like less work in the end. So that's going to be something that maybe we could converse about, is when we design this, it's like, okay, let's separate unit 1 into maybe, well, we are like, I want to be honest, Marcy, your water is pretty much like done. I think other people could like kind of take it as they
oh yeah to. No, my students have already submitted that back to me with their labs in it, like that's done.
Yeah, so I think like that one would be set. And then I have it here, I'll just show you, is that where do I have it? I'm going to go to this one right there. This is just kind of like showing the like the breakdown of everyone's units. There's about like a quarter of us are still in like the starting intro stuff. My school district actually like started, I think, a week later than what all the other schools are. I'm hearing everyone like in chemistry of life. I'm like, I'm literally just like got done introducing myself to the students. Like,
Yeah, we just started last Tuesday and we don't teach on Wednesdays. So I've only had very few classes.
yeah, no, they were
Where
like
are you
adamant.
guys located?
I'm in Delaware, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Baltimore County.
All right. I'm on Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah.
I'm in
I
Montgomery
hear
County.
it now.
Where's it?
No.
You said Montgomery County somewhere?
Montgomery County, Maryland.
Okay. Hey, all that East Coast. Hey, all right. You know,
Yeah.
go represent. All right. But anyway, yeah. So where was I going with that? Everyone's kind of in like chemistry of life right now. So I think it'd be beneficial if we just made it, and like in case for these individuals as well as those that might be doing macromolecules, they have access to it. So we could go and just create those and push them out to everybody. Could maybe be beneficial. And then from there, we can take a look at like cell structure and energetics. It's like nobody in the community who at least answered that said that they were doing that. And I haven't really been following anybody saying like they started with natural selection or ecology or anything like that.
Yeah, I had thought about it, and then I was like, it's my first year teaching it, and with the chaos of doing this virtually, I was like, I'm just going to go literally by the book on this and just go through their scope and sequence, and next year's for experimentation.
Quite honestly, like I'm glad I went by the scope and sequence, because when they said like, yeah, we're only doing units 1 through 6, I'm like, oh, cool, we could spend like a whole month reviewing. So it worked out like that. But like I think what I normally would do, I'd actually start with natural selection, because like everything's always like can go back to Evo, but that's that.
Yeah, I had my kids read Making of the Fittest over the summer, just to kind of like cover a lot of big stuff.
Yeah. Okay,
Let's see where-
so at least for the individuals that were interested in doing this, it looks like a lot of people were like kind of going for group and hybrid. So I think like I just kind of like put this together is like if everyone did one by themselves, like we'd get this done like sooner. But the ones that are need a little bit like of help to be spun up is that I'm thinking of like a team leader approach who like feels comfortable doing this individually, and then they just kind of like coach our other teachers to go do it. And it's not even that much work. It's just like, do you know how to set up the master slide and like make sure that like you have like every single layout and it just makes sense. Like I don't think it would even be that much collaboration. I think people like look at this and like, this is super scary. And again, like I've been working on these. They don't take long. I mean, if you do an entire unit, yeah, that takes a while. But like an individual, like weeks worth of stuff, I think you can get done in like 2 hours, if that. So, and if you have three people working on
it takes practice. On the flip side though, I will say that I'm a little bit pay to play on it. Like if you said you're interested but you didn't show up to this, then like you're gonna have to figure it out yourself a little bit too. Like I mean, we're all drowning right now.
I agree. I don't disagree. But again, though, I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know, maybe something came up. It's like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be for this time. You know, they're cooking dinner, you know, whatever it is. But it is all right. All right. Oh, we actually have another person who came in because I don't. So I have the people without cameras. I just turned it off. So I have Anna Benitez. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. Sorry. I just have myself muted because hi, how are you? I'm from San Dimas, California. I'm the only West Coaster.
Hey, you're rocking the East Coast vibe.
But I'm originally I'm from New York. So I moved over here.
You can say then. You're allowed.
Oh my God.
The East Coast squad.
Yeah, so we might actually we might have other people popping in. I just won't be able to tell because that setting is messed up. The only thing that I was going to go say is that, and I threw this down here, is like I think there should be like some kind of standard, so that way like every single notebook has some kind of like similarity to it. So I think we were seeing it's just like every single one has like the pre-work and then your live sessions and then maybe like a lab that's like thrown in there. I think that is definitely necessary. Versus if you looked at my anatomy one, like I did it by like sections sort of a thing, which doesn't like fit with how the other ones were making. So I think whoever ends up helping out and making these, we just need to make sure that we're on board, like make it look like this. And like, I'll even put this as an example. I think between like this introduction, and I'm just like saying like, you know, like this introduction versus this one for hydrogen bonding, like, do we like this more because it tells you your objectives and your essential knowledges versus this one it goes through each section, but it doesn't look like it
Are you-
outright says it.
Yeah, I'm not
Wait, are
seeing
you changing
anything.
your screen?
My bad. You know,
Wrong monitor.
I know, I
I'm
feel like
such
a
noob.
professional poker player or something. I've got like all these screens.
That's okay. No, so I was saying is like we want kind of like some kind of standard. Can you see it now? You can see the Google slide?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like some kind of standard. So I think, yeah, so this was Brielle's 1 through 3 unit. So it's kind of like the unit at the glance showing like this. Like I like this information in there, but personally, like me, I like this is what you need to know by the end of it. Like this is how I told my students last year. It was like, here's your objective, here's the knowledges, this is how you get there. So it's like trying to figure that out, like how do you even like structure it to begin with. And I know it's like one more thing to go do, but it just, I think might help out some of our teachers where it's like, they don't see 2 complete lessons. And like I see that with the Google Drive where it's like 2 labs or worksheets and they're completely like structured differently just because that's how it was set up. If that makes sense. Oh no, I was just rambling there for a second, but
Fine.
all right. Interest of time. So just some things that we got to consider. This was one thing that I noticed is that Marcy, with your water, you didn't have as many, I think, mastery slides being used because you're able like to edit the stuff, like you're able like to drag the stuff around. Versus Brielle's like had it. So that's like another thing to consider is like, do we want to make it that they can't, like the students can't mess around with the text, but they can mess around with all the type here stuff. And like, that's just like a little bit of like check and balance, like editing, like we can easily just create
no, absolutely. This was just time crush.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's easy to just say like, hey, like you can even split the work up, like make the notebook like this. And then you just have that tech savvy person just copy and paste this into the master slides, because that's like that's one thing to go do, and you just delete the old stuff. So I like there's lots of ways to skin the cat, but I think like just trying to figure out if we want to do master slides or all edited.
I think Brielle did a much better job on that balance between master and editable text. That was definitely just me being lazy.
No, that's okay. So I mean, like, if that's okay, like if we start to assign like some of these for people, is like if we can go use that. If you don't know how to use master slides, I mean, there's plenty of YouTube videos I'm pretty sure out there.
That's almost the tutorial we need, is to show people how to use the master slides. Because once you know how to use the master slides, it's like really idiot proof.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just theory.
And then multiple resources versus like the College Board video that they post. I like the College Board video because I'm like, if they're posting this, that's like what they're expecting you to know, right? Versus if we have like the Khan Academy, the Bozeman Science, like all these resources, like I like giving options, but I guess it's just like, you know,
I really
like
liked how in Brielle's notebook, she had additional resources across the bottom, you know, in like that little yellow box. So we could almost do the College Board video and then sort of maybe adapt her idea where we have like, hey, an additional resource. If you're not totally getting this, you can check out this link.
And then that could probably just be like something like at the bottom of like the pre-work. So
exactly. So like I like the way she had, I'm pointing like you can see what I'm looking at. Amazing. So she had that in there, you know, just as an additional resource, which can be good. Like I had a kid who the College Board was crashing for her, and she probably would have appreciated like, oh crap, like at least I can get that information in. So that would have been a good idea for me to have done. So is to integrate more additional resources for creating options.
All right, good. I think we've already just talked about that. We would like to group the sections together, and then just like, are we doing like a personal activity, or are we going to try to like to throw like lab POGIL stuff in there? What is this? This is the resource from the
Dude, I'm open to anything. Like I've got 2 teenagers at home who are doing virtual learning also.
I've seen this. This was good. I like this.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, I saw that before. That was I was gonna go and use that as I like try to balance everything else in life. But yeah, so it's just like, what other activity stuff are you going to go in there? Are you going to go through like that water penny lab, or do you want to throw like a personal activity, or do you want to kind of leave that spot blank and then have the teacher, whoever is using it like they put whatever they want in there. So it's like, it makes it their own.
Yeah.
So that's just like kind of like,
Yeah, just a consideration. Sure.
I think we've already talked about this, is like just if they kind of understand how to do master slides, they should be okay from there. Because really all you do is just, I've just taken the either Marcy's or Brielle's notebook and I just adapted it as my own. Like I just Frankensteined it at that point. So
Yeah, mine was a Frankenstein version of hers. So you're like,
all right. And then I guess the suspense state. So that's just trying to figure out like how far we want to come along with doing this. Are like, if some of us are already doing chemistry, do you want to go and just create chemistry and get out of the way? Or would it be better for us to go do the cells? Because I still kind of think like if we get chemistry out of the way for those who want to use it, it's like, hey, it's up here if you're still here. And then that way I think chemistry is small enough that we can kind of figure out like where this process of making these notebooks is easy and difficult. And then that way we can adjust fires for, I keep using my army terms, I'm sorry. We can end up like adjusting the way that we do it when we hit the other units.
so I have mixed feelings on it. On the one hand, I'm like, it would be nice to have a complete set. On the flip side, I'm like, but then we're going to keep getting ourselves behind.
Right. Well, the thing how I look at this is that if we get chemistry of life done and then the following weekend we get cells, then we're pretty much caught up at that point. That's at least how I was envisioning it. Like looking at this chart right here. And then once we got cell energetics, now you're like a month out at that point. And it's just like figuring out, do you have the time to go and do this? But again, we're like asking people to spend 2 to 3 hours of their like prep time of their life in order to go make this thing. You know, like, do we have 2 to 3 hours in order to go spend? So if we want to like go and skip chemistry of life and go right into cells, so like that's available, like I think that's okay. I don't think it's a wrong thing, but I just liked it along the lines of, if you had chemistry of life and you're doing this digital notebook, that you can kind of be consistent with the other units. Like, hey, we're not like doing the digital notebook starting with unit 2. So
I like the idea of doing the chemistry. This is my first year teaching it. So I figured this is another way for me to learn what I need to do, learn something from you guys, but I like being crafty. So I figured I can kind of put all that in together, but I like the idea of doing the chemistry and then we could just follow up with the cells.
Okay.
And go from there. And that way we have it done. Yeah.
And then like, and all fails, and I don't ever want to plan for failing as wasteful planning, but in the event that like chemistry of life and cells just doesn't work so much, like we're not really burning, or like we're not digging ourselves too much of a hole. It's like, okay, we tried this, it didn't really work, let's see if there's anything else out there. But I'm really like more optimistic. I think that this might actually be something beneficial for our AP Bio community. And I think a lot of like, again, like it was like 150 comments, and it was like those dopamine hits were like ridiculous, like how many people like were liking that stuff. So yeah. So do we want to go ahead with chemistry, and then maybe like do we want to assign stuff? Do we want to have groups together in order to go do that? Because I kind of have it. I don't know if I started my Excel spreadsheet.
I'm pretty flexible.
I'm going to be awake this weekend to go work on this. So
it's Rosh Hashanah this weekend. So like, I mean, I'm not like religious, but we'll, be doing dinner and whatever. So that's going to take up a bit of my time as far as scheduling any kind of meeting. But other than that, like I'm super flexible time availability wise.
Okay. I was starting to work on a thing. The damnedest thing happened today. A transformer like blew like outside like my neighborhood. So I lost power like in the middle of a class. And it was just like the weirdest thing ever. So
that's
I had to
fun.
so I had to go and rush like over to like my parents, be like, hey, can I borrow your Wi-Fi to finish my classes? Just really goofy. All right, so I think we said that it was like, all right, so we got 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, and 1, 6. So 1, 2 was cycles, I think, and I mean like some
I've got my notebook right here. You're talking for chemistry of life?
Yeah. So I think this one's cycles. 3 is hydrolysis and dehydration synthesis, which I'd almost just like, I would spend 10 minutes on class, make sure they
Yeah,
understand it.
two
like,
I
understand it.
have is describe the composition of macromolecules required by living organisms is the learning objective for 1-2.
You know, I did 1-1 through 1-3 already. They're done.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
So
in the chat,
1-4 is describe the properties of the monomers and the type of bonds that connect the monomers.
And you can end up throwing, I mean, we could throw the 1-3 in there. I know you said you've already gotten 1-3 done, but if we wanted to just put that in there as like an introducing thing, like secondly, I
Okay.
don't, did you already put Brielle, did you already put 1-1 to 1-3 on the AP Facebook page?
no, I mean, I just finished it 2 hours ago.
Oh, okay. So then what you're saying is that we can just go
So
into
I
1-4.
sent you guys the link of my final version. It is out of order because I taught it out of order because I was waiting for my kids to get pipettes for tomorrow's lab. But
Okay. Are you, sorry, off topic, are you guys in school, or are you doing like hybrid, or can they just come and pick up lab materials?
I'm 100% virtual.
We're hybrid, but our students aren't allowed to use any material. So I'm not allowed to distribute. They can't touch anything. So we have to do everything virtually for them.
I just got lucky with the pipettes because we were giving out the textbooks. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
I
It's
did
so
it
funny that you
via
do that
my little
because-
DVD webcam here. So I just did it like,
I'm just giggling though that you give out the pipettes, and the reason why is that our department head did that. It's like, yeah, our freshmen are getting textbooks. I'm just giving them a pipette. Welcome to Conrad. It was just like, it's so like goofy.
Like walked up to me, I was like, here you go. Just take a handful. We have thousands.
Yeah, I got this new job. I got the new job, and then I looked in my room, and there's like 4 or 5 drawers just full of those plastic pipettes, plus like the little dispensary thing. I'm like, what did this person hoard before? Okay, sorry, we're getting off the topic. But so it is properties of biological macromolecules, and then structure. So I think 1-4 and 1-5, you could probably bring them together. I typically teach them together, where I always go like structure determines function, and then going into that. So it's like, here is a nucleic acid. This is how the nucleic acids structure themselves in order to perform their specific function. So do we want to just do 1-4 and 1-5 together to make that easier?
so do what, like 1-2 and 1-3, then 4 and 5?
So Brielle already had 2 and 3 done.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the pairings.
So I think 1 needs to be by itself because it's
Yeah, that's why I did it that
forces.
way, but I know, Brielle just had a situation as far as the pipettes. So,
Right, but so describe the properties of monomers and the bond. Nope, and then describe the composition of macromolecules. I think you could probably put 2 and 3 together. I think.
really, yeah, so 2 and 3 are like little nothing ones. And, all right, so 5. Yeah, so I guess you could do 2-1, then 2-3, 4, 5, and then 6.
So
So
Brielle
4 notebooks.
just shared this with me.
Oh,
So
yeah, Brielle.
she's on top of it. She's
Guys,
like,
I don't think you understand. I like stalk that AP page like no other. When someone posts something, I save it on Facebook, and then I eventually just go and get on my computer and download and just sort into all the files.
I'm middle-aged. I get a
I'm
handicap
super
score.
OCD organized. So I've never taught AP before, so I'm like anything
Yeah,
I
no,
can
this is
find.
my
no,
first
it's fine.
year.
too.
See, the thing is like 1-3 is so small that it can be tacked on to either sections 1-2 or 1-4. I
Yeah,
think
it's
maybe like
fixed.
for it to make sense, I think it probably makes more sense to be part of 1-4 because we're talking about the macromolecules, and you have to do hydrolysis. Sorry, you have to do dehydration synthesis to build them and hydrolysis to break them down. So maybe we throw 1-3 to 1-5 here as 1, and then nucleic acids could maybe just be its own separate thing. It's not even like, but again, it's a lesson. It's like, here's DNA, here's RNA, you're done. Like, almost at that
I
point.
know, right? And that's why I'm looking at 2, and all 2 is like, hey, you guys, carbon's a thing, and it's great.
Yeah. And that's like the thing and that's why I thought of the idea about doing them individually. It's like, at least it's there. But then like if
Right,
it's
and that's where I was conflicted too. And
Yeah.
part of me is like, well, shit, should it just be like 1, 2 through 1, 2 through 1, 5, and then just 1, 6? Like, as I'm looking at this.
Yeah. It's just it's strange because like I think like nucleic acids it like is your biomolecule, so it should probably go with 1, 4, and 5, but the problem is that it's structured very differently because it talks about the major differences between them, and I think that's why it does its own. So I do think if we wanted to go through with this is that maybe putting 1, 2 as its own, because it talks about carbon, and then it also talks about nitrogen and phosphorus, and I actually talk about like the geochemical so like the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle. And I go in there just to show like this is how these organisms are picking up these items. So you can actually build 1, 2 into something a little bit more complicated. But then 1, 3 to 1, 5, I think it might make sense to be put together, and then DNA and RNA can be its own like separate thing. And then
There's
again,
a lot of stuff you can throw together for DNA and RNA too, right? Like you can fluff that out. And honestly, if it's short, then it's short. Like good job, kids. You have a short day.
yeah, they'll be all right with that. So is that kind of maybe like all right for that? Is that we just start off with just these 3
Sure.
in there? Okay, so I guess the thing that we want to go say is how we want to divvy this up. So we have 5 people in here right now.
Mhm.
So if you want me to, I don't mind taking over 1, 2, because it looks like it's already been done, but I could like throw my own stuff in there. I don't know. It's what do you think with that?
I'll do what I'm told on this. I'm happy to do whatever.
Okay, because like I want to like I wanted I like fair with work and all that other stuff, but it's just I guess does anybody feel what's the word? Does anybody feel like excited or like passionate about doing like biomolecule structure and form or doing DNA and RNA?
I've taught it pretty extensively because I was my last gig was biotechnology before this. So I'm good with whatever you want to throw me.
Okay. So, I mean, at least like for this one, it's just really focusing, it literally is just focusing on the differences of DNA and RNA, because the actual biotechnology portion of it, that falls into gene expression, I think, which is like unit 6. And they go into like way more detail. It's pretty much, it's like nucleic acids are a thing, but this is why they're a little bit more different than your carbs and your lipids and stuff like that.
Right. It goes into like methylation and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
For gene expression
All
too
right.
later on.
So Marcy, do you want to go take 1/6 then? Because it sounds like you like DNA and RNA. Are you okay with that?
So take 1.6?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll throw you onto there. I'll try to fluff this up and make this look nice. Yeah, I can go ahead and take this one.
I'm not very good with Excel, so I'm impressed by anything.
No, it's okay. And then Brielle and I'm sorry, I forgot it.
Deja.
It was Deja. I thought it was Deja. I'm like,
Think like deja vu. That's just what I tell everybody. It's easy to remember.
okay. And
Deja.
then Deja, and I think it was Anna as well. So, and Brielle, because it's 3 sections, and Brielle, you've already kind of worked on 1, 3. Do you want to take the reins on doing this so we have 3 people for that one? Is that too many people? Because it's like it's
would appreciate like the guidance of one of you guys. You've done an awesome job on the other ones, and I haven't done this yet, but I figured I want to learn it, so that way
Same
I can
here.
get better at it.
Same here. I agree.
That's fine.
Yeah, I would have wanted to take reins, because even though you're like, oh, this is easy to set up, I'm still looking at it and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do
No, I mean, it took me it took me a while to figure it out too. You know, I got this template from someone. I had no idea how they, and I just did a lot of YouTube Googling. This tends to be my solutions. I am pretty tech savvy, so that, and OCD and formatting is my thing. I don't know why.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We need more of it in our life.
If we wanted to doing the 3 of us, and we can get together, and I can kind of walk you through, how I made these, and where my thought processes and stuff come from.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I think, so like, I was just waiting, Paul, until you finished all of your thoughts. I think, you know, because we talked about this before. So, you know, everyone's going to have their notebook look a little bit differently, because mine's still always going to be whatever the week is going to cover. Essentially, all of mine are always just weekly.
Mhm.
And so I think we kind of have to remember that, like, moving forward, that these are just shelves that people can then just essentially take that content from
Yep.
and insert them into wherever we need them. So I'm trying to figure out a way to best format in that it's more blank, because, you know, I'm also like OCD about what color I make each page to match the tab to where I put
No,
it.
I'm very similar in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way in that, like, I already did 1.2 through 1.3, you know, like, I've already done it. Like, I've already taught it. So it's like, I don't know if I want to make a full, you know, notebook. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure out what's going to
that
work.
makes sense. I'm almost thinking it's like, if, I'm trying to think of how to say this. If there was like a Google Doc, all right, for the whole unit, and yeah, like, I mean, I want to share it, but I'm like, I'm not going to make myself crazy tailoring it when people are going to take it apart, as they should, right? Like, I took yours and then I kind of dismantled it, because I very much teach by unit, especially since I don't have school on Wednesdays. My weeks are so chopped up. So I'm like, wow, this weekly thing's not going to work as well, but, you know.
Versus me, I'm actually more by section sort of a thing, because it gives
so
me
I'm
like
much more
easy like
section by
milestones.
section.
So I think, to answer your question, and that's why I said like we kind of need a standard way of doing this. I think we just need to figure out how we want to do like the first page or two. I think so. 1 second. Just throw that in here. It's fine. So
but yeah, I think really like putting in the, like Brielle said, like the shell of it, like, hey, have your kids, you know, watch this video and whatever, but it's also like, but you can put some work into it too. Like, it's not going to hurt you if you take 30 minutes and do it too.
So I think,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm just spitballing ideas. You can shoot them down. I'm all right. I think the way that this is structured, at least like saying like, this is what you're doing, because both of you kind of had that, like, this is what you're doing. I think that's what you need to go do with, to begin with. And then depending on the actual teacher themselves, they'll determine what learning objective, like how they want to go structure that out, because it's easy to just, you know, snipping tool, put that to where you want it to go. So I think we probably want to start off with just a intro page, and like that would be like this guy right here. So you have some kind of intro page from there, and then going right into the pre-work with a video.
What if essentially, to eliminate worries of like the colors and the tabs and things like that, build a lot of these master slides with just like white text boxes and no colors, so that anyone can just simply take that master, copy the master slide over, and then start just changing their tabs and colors. But that way you still have everything you want in that subsection for people to simply copy and paste that way.
I think that sounds perfectly all right. If you're okay and comfortable with that, 'cause I know how you talk about your colors and stuff, but yeah, I think like that'd be I think that'd be fine. And quite honestly, like even if we didn't do like this colored method, I think we'd be all right. So if we do intro, pre-work, and then do you want to have that live session? Because like you actually like, because is the idea, at least for what I've seen this, is that it's supposed to incorporate that flipped classroom like mentality. So we're trying to make sure that they're doing the work on their own, so that way when they do the live session notes, they're actually.
What I did was last class or 2 classes ago, I told my kids, you need to go home and have the pre-work done. Then they came in last class, we did the water lab, and we went over again the protocols of how to do, how to keep an authentic scientific notebook. And then I was like, and then turn it in via this Google form. So I very much use it for a flipped classroom. And then Brielle, I don't know how you were doing it, but for the live session thing, then basically what I said is, after you've done that, come back. And if you have questions or somebody else asks a question that's really helpful to you, you put that in the live session thing, but I don't do any lecture. other than like, hey, let's take a 10-minute break and clarify some stuff.
So, sorry. So I think again, like the
So,
live section is just, again, it's like that shell idea with it, where it's like you have this section in order to go do like your live notes or your questions, like how you want to go do that. And I think that would come to the teacher on how they want to go about doing this. For me, like that is like, hey, we're in class. So like my live session was ask me questions or have your questions ready, and then we'll go through it. And then I even throw my own examples on there for like the students to be able to go use as well.
how's that working out for everybody? Because for me personally, I'm still having a lot of my students, they wait till the last minute to do things. So they get to class and they're like not knowing what's going on.
That's
So do
their
you guys have
problem.
any tips?
Nope.
Yeah, I have a good handful of students too that are so behind already. They're not doing the work that they're supposed to do at home.
They're also the same
Yeah,
student.
the thing I go
Largely.
is like we have a tempo. You got to march to the tempo. Like
Yeah,
and
they just gotta catch
Yeah.
up.
I can only speak for my school, of course, but our AP program is pretty intensive. So I pretty much have admin support when I'm like, well, that sucks for you. Like, you knew what we had to do and you didn't do it. Like, sort it out.
Well, see, for my school, they're still passing out laptops. So some of them do have tech issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be a little bit lenient because our first grading period ends on Friday because I already started.
Oh my God.
That's so
I know.
quick.
And I don't know what the heck, I don't know what I was doing. And so I know they're frustrated with me because I've been doing different things. I'm like, okay, now let's try this idea. But I'm just trying to find something that works. And hopefully that's why I signed up for the group to see
Yeah, that is
how other people
bananas,
do it.
Anna.
Yeah, we started August 4th or 5th.
Oh, wow.
And we only see each other
You'll
twice a
have
week.
everyone have a Chromebook?
They have laptops, but it's just a mess. The equity, at least over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we still have it because some people just aren't getting that message, and now they're going through, like, we're on week 3 and they're going through and like knocking on doors. But I only have one student who hasn't come to a Zoom yet at this point. But yeah, that's, if they don't have a computer, they can't do the work. So I don't have any advice on you for that one, but
Well, thank you. No, because I mean, I'm going to use the biochemistry notebook as a reteach for them. So, because they're going to take a test next week. So I'm going to be like, oh, you failed? Here's your reteach. And submit
it
it.
works.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, again, like that's like the whole thing about this is like, it's just one more resource. And if it's like a self-paced kind of thing, like your pre-work is the way that you're going to reteach yourself at that point. So, I mean, it's another way that we can end up looking at this.
So just to clarify, the pre-work is based on the AP Daily videos. Is that what that was from?
That's what I did. You know, but I don't know if that's what everybody wants to do. That's just how I did the water one that I shared.
Okay.
Personally, I like it because it's actually coming from College Board versus some third party that's like, hey, I teach AP biology. This is what I find that's important in it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I've been assigning the AP Daily videos for homework. So they seem to like them because they're short.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that with it is just because it takes a bit of time. So I think they only have Unit 1 done. They haven't published Unit 2 yet. So anybody who's in Chemistry of Life, they don't have access to those videos yet. So that's my only gripe about it. But I have faith that College Board is going to be pushing all those videos out, hopefully somewhat soon.
I haven't even looked that far. We just started. We just finished our first week today.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I've been doing. Like, just for this like project thing, I've just been kind of like, well, we use those videos. Like, are there enough for us to start to pull upon? And that's the only reason why I know that. So, but going back to the layout, so we have intro, your pre-work, and then do we want to throw like the live session? And then is that just? Do you want to do like pre-work live, pre-work live, pre-work live as like the shell? So it's like they have like their flipped classroom and just keep it at that. And then that way teachers can throw like Marcy's water lab. Like you decided to go throw this in there. You just add that as like your slides like in there. So you think that
Yeah, and then I even had the kids
Yeah.
throw in more slides, like the ones who've turned it in, I asked them to make extra pages and then they just took pictures of their lab notebooks and like right in there.
Okay. So I think that probably would just be like the simplest thing to go do. So do you think it would make sense for each section to have its own pre-work then? So like in the case of if I'm taking 1-2, right, I only have one pre-work and one live session with maybe a thing at the end of it, versus the 1-3 to 1-5 has 3 sections, so maybe 3 pre-works and then 3 live sessions to go along with it. So that way, at least there's like some kind of standardization with it. It might be a little bit of a longer notebook, but again, like one of those sections, the pre-work might just be a page, and like that's literally all that you're doing.
Right.
So.
And then like my classes, I have them, I see them 4 times a week for 70 minutes. So, there are times when I might say like, we'll do the pre-work for this notebook and this notebook or whatever, just depending on time. So yeah, I think that makes it flexible.
Okay, so I think that kind of gives us a good starting point. So does everybody have warm and fuzzies about this?
So
All
after
right.
the live sessions, just to be clear, after the live sessions, that's where the teacher puts their own activity?
That's what I would assume, because that way they take it, they do it their own. Or if they're done with a notebook, because it's just your notes, then if they have a program, they can put like, what is it? We use Schoology at my school, so I would just have an assignment and like, it's just, okay, you're done with the notebook, we're doing this assignment now. And you get your information from that. So
Right, and you can customize your notebook that way too. Be like, we then moved on, because one of the things I liked about this is I just think it gets so overwhelming where I'm like, we're on Nearpod, we're on Schoology, we're on whatever. And if this is like, oh yeah, I do remember we did that thing, I better go look at that when I'm studying. It's such a good organizational tool because it literally is like a one-stop shop for the unit.
That was my argument on why I wanted to go do this, as well as while I'm like talking with like my coworkers. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go do this because it just cuts out so much excess fat. And if you need to, you can just embed links in there to go to those sites that you want to go to. So they're just literally hitting
my department chair loves OneNote, which like I hate with a passion. So I was so glad to find this.
Sorry that I'm laughing. I tried OneNote and I couldn't, never worked out for me.
Right? It felt like 1990s, like MySpace, like here are my 5 favorite files. Sorry, I'm 40.
God. It's okay. It's okay. What about like a post-work section or like a summary section where the students bring all the ideas back to the concept?
I didn't even consider that. And I think that'd be great. So we can say that there's a summary section. And then do we, again, it's like teachers section. And then maybe like the teacher section, we could just have it be like a page and it says like, this is your space to throw your own thing into there. If you don't want it, just delete the slide. And then that way it kind of like tells them that. You know what I mean? So like if I were to go through the notebook and like I'm at the slides right here, it wouldn't be slides 11 through 14. I would just have one slide and just says like for teachers, like activities and stuff like that. And then,
and that's where I think it's essential that people understand what the master slide is, that there's not inherently a one-to-one correlation. Because that was what I was kind of like, and kind of had to figure that out when I was playing with it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I'm like, where are they all going? And then I realized that it's actually, you're creating layouts and the layouts need to be put there. So
yeah,
no, it's
really
good
making
stuff.
a template.
Yeah. Okay. As I was saying before, do we have warm and fuzzies? We okay? About like this like layout right here?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I just want to make sure that we don't spend too much time being prescriptive about it. Just, because at the end of the day, right, like people are going to customize it how they want it. So yeah, just figuring out those essential things and then people can take it out or add it in, as they want.
Okay. All right. I got some good feelings about this. So,
yeah, I think this is going to be great.
All right. Deja, you feel all right about this?
Yeah.
Anna, you're okay with this?
My question is about, is there much of a difference like between like master slides and then just using the Google Slides? Is there a difference?
So I'll show you right now. It's actually just like super simple.
I use slides all the time. I just wasn't sure if there was like a major difference.
So you go to
Slides.
You go to slide
okay.
and say edit master,
Mhm.
And then these are the masters that you make. So they end up becoming, we'll just say that this will be slide 2. So that way, when I'm actually doing this, I'm going to apply a layout. So I think apply layout, and you go to slide 2, and then that's the layout that posts on there, and then they can't edit it at that point.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, there's like no titles to these right now, but if you titled every single one, whatever the page number is, like that ends up putting it in the order, and then it's you don't have to think about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
really just a DIY template kit.
Okay.
that is the best way to describe it. And then Brielle, did you feel all right about this? UK?
Yeah, sorry. There's toddlers very upset downstairs, so I'm like,
Oh,
Oh, I was like, you can hear
Mommy
mine because they're
is
fighting
like-
right now.
no.
okay. All right, everybody. So I think we got everything. I'm gonna go take these resources. Let me open up all of these, just so I have them, and I'll post.
Can you
them.
email those to us too? Just because I'm on
Yeah.
my phone.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I'll go ahead
Sorry.
and throw all those things in there. Maybe in the actually, I don't know, it'd be a future. Brielle, slip and slide. That thing is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I appreciate that. If we get to that, we can talk about that extension. It's not really necessary for I think where we're at, but yeah, she's a guru at this, so she's gonna be all right.
I'm telling you, I just
Brielle, can I ask you a quick question about your naming of your masters, where you had like, like the strings of numbers on it? What were the numbers that were
I
in
don't
there?
know. I think it just happens. I don't make them. I think it's just what Google makes them, and I just like make a master
Right, like, yep,
how
looks
I want,
good.
and I just go and
Good luck.
insert it to a real slide, and I just like know what it looks like, and I'm just like, next one.
Thank you. That's
Like,
exactly what I was hoping you would say, and I was hoping that there wasn't a complicated answer. So
Yeah, I just look at the picture. Look at that. That's the one I just made. Let's put it in. Like, that's where I'm at.
amazing.
Okay.
That's what I like.
The last thing that I just wanted to hit is for us to create a suspense state to maybe have all of these done. So I know that everyone has their life going on. We have families. We have stuff happening. So I'm not trying to rush anybody, but because everyone's in chemistry of life, I think sooner is better than later. I don't know if we have the time over the weekend. I will dedicate my time to get 1, 2 done, and maybe even like start working on like a cells one if I
Yeah,
really
I feel
feel
like if this is going to be timely, then cells has to be done ASAP.
Yeah. So are we?
Especially because Brielle's working ahead of us, so I don't want her to be like working twice.
No, it's okay. I have to. I'm gonna do FRQ stuff next week, I think. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had them do the
Like
bees
a
one
weird-
today.
week with testing and mandated garbage and yeah.
Okay. So what do we? Oh man, I cannot spell to save my life. So what are we thinking for a date? Do we want to try to get all these done by Sunday? Is that too soon?
No, I think we kind of have to.
Yeah, I could do it by Sunday.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deja and Anna, we can email and figure out a time where we could Zoom and I can kind of walk you through like how I make these, and it's decently simple.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm gonna
Because
put
to me, it
my,
looks like a lot.
Email in the
It's-
chat here.
It's not a lot of work at all. Like once you get
No,
your system
I mean,
down,
it's not. No, I'm not saying that it looks like a lot of work. It just looks like a lot of I don't know what I'm doing.
No, we got you.
all right. So we're trying to hit Sunday. What is that? Is that it's like the 20th, I think? Yeah, the 20th. All
Is
right.
suspense state a military term? I don't know that.
Yeah, it is. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just amused. My husband's a finance guy, so he'll say like industry something, and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's funny where I'll like start like talking to my students like, all right, you tracking? You tracking what we're doing? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, jeez, are you following me? So it's just, yeah, it's fun. Okay, so we'll do that. And then for schedule, do we want to like maybe create a Google Drive folder? Or I have the Google Drive folder in my drive. I could like share it to everybody and want to just like drop it in there. And then we can try to get it like in by, well, do we want people to have access to this over the weekend so that they could potentially adjust their plans accordingly to use it?
I'm indifferent.
Okay. I mean, it's the difference between doing like Sunday morning or Sunday evening. So
Yeah, I don't. whatever. Sunday morning is fine. If we're going to be helpful, then I guess we might as well just be helpful. But I'll defer to the majority on that.
Okay. All right. And then I guess after we get that done, we can potentially meet up again, and then we could determine how we want to split up the cells unit then and doing the same thing. So I think it's gonna be good, everybody. I'm super stoked. This is exciting. We're doing it. All right. I want to be respectful to everybody's time. Let me see.